Well, good evening, Windsor residents, families, friends, and team members. This is Angie. Today is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020, and here we are. It shouldn't be too long of an update tonight since I did send out a written update last evening via Angie's Notes. But we do have a couple of things to chat about. First things first is an update on our community COVID status at this point. We do fall outside of the 14 days of having had any positive cases of residents or staff, so I would call us COVID negative. So we are very pleased about that. We are extremely pleased to hear that our employee who was previously hospitalized has been discharged and is home recovering. So continue to think good thoughts for that person, and we hope to see them to continue to recover quickly and fully. As a result of being outside that 14-day window, there are a few things that are happening. As of this evening, we are reopening the Ashby restaurant for dinner service, and that is wonderful news, not a second too soon, I'm sure. We are also going to restart all of our small group life enrichment activities in the villages as well. Of course, that is groups of 10 or less, and that is still out as a precaution by the Florida Department of Health. Small groups no greater than 10 or more. We are going to be reopening the common areas of the villages, however, and we are going to have staff return to a standard PPE protocol, which is just just masks, unless they are doing hands-on care or anything else where they may need additional PPE, such as gloves, gowns, booties, face shields, etc. So that is wonderful news. We do want to continue to remind our residents, though, to wear our face masks routinely when out of our apartments. And we want to make sure that we have our face masks on properly over our nose and mouths. And you would think at this point on September 29th that I wouldn't be saying that, but we all need reminders sometimes. So I just want to remind our residents to be wearing your face masks over your mouth and nose when you are not socially distancing and you are out and about in the community. All right. Drive-through visits continue to go well. We had some club drive-through visits today. Of course, village drive-through visits on Thursday. We are going to continue to do the drive-through visits for the foreseeable future. That is because it is going to, unfortunately, not unfortunately, that's not the right word. It is going to take a fair amount of resources to accomplish the in-person visits in a way that is consistent with the executive order that was put out by Governor DeSantis earlier this month. So we are going to be somewhat restricted in the quantity of in-person visits that we can accomplish on a weekly basis and still provide services and support to our residents living in the community. So we are going to be somewhat limited in the number of visits we can accomplish per week. So to start, and of course, this is always to start, this is where we work over the course of the next 30 days or so, get everybody a visit and really establish our policies and procedures and evaluate how we can do more and we can do it more efficiently so that we can provide more visit opportunities, but still provide the care and services to the residents that need it. So here as we start off, we are going to be doing 12 club visits every Tuesday afternoon. So 12 residents will receive visits each Tuesday in the club. And then don't forget, we still have the drive-through visits in the morning where I think we have up to 16 visits available. So 28 visits a week for club residents. It will be the same for the villages on Thursdays. Pardon me, my blood sugar is misbehaving a little bit. I'm going to sit on my phone and try to quiet it down. And then for the neighborhoods, it's a bit lower. It is going to be 12 drive-up visits and 4 in-person visits, but that's because it's also a much smaller neighborhood. So what we're hoping is over 3 or 4 weeks to get everybody that initial in-person visit, work out any kinks we have, figure out how we can accomplish more on a weekly basis compared to where we're starting. So please, I know you might be frustrated. You're thinking, oh my gosh, once a month an in-person visit, but we're really going to try to get there. We're going to try to improve this, but with the way that the executive order is written and what we're required to do from a monitoring standpoint, it does make it difficult for us to have them every day, all day long, and still provide services to the residents living in the community. So it's a work in process. Hang in there with me as we get closer. We are going to have it set up that a resident gets a visit once until everybody gets a visit that wants it, and then we'll schedule another visit. And everybody that wants it, et cetera. We want to make sure that it's fair for everybody who wants the opportunity to visit families. I did see some people went in there and signed up for every week. That's not going to be the case. It'll be one visit until everybody gets around to having, or everybody that wants one gets around to having one, and then we'll schedule more. But the good news is during those off weeks, you can still do drive-up visits. Okay, so that is the good news. And maybe I'll chat with CC too. Maybe we want to, at this point, increase the drive-up visits to 30 minutes from 20 minutes or so based on the participation we have. So hang in there with us. I know it's a frustrating process for everyone, but we are working hard to make sure it goes off without a hitch and it's as safe as possible, and you're able to create some magnificent memories and see each other. So that said, last night in my update, I said that there would be some additional information coming out today. In the executive order, there are a couple of requirements that I need to put out in the universe for you in writing. One of those is just kind of our general visits policy. So you've kind of gotten a lot of those details from me over the course of the last couple of weeks on my Angie's notes or last night's. But this is going to be specifically, probably backwards on your screen. It's going to be 2 parts. The first part is going to be the general visits protocol, where it is going to tell you exactly what our policy is. And everyone who's going to engage in the visit, resident and visitors, both visitors if it's 2, will need to review the visitor policy. And then, in addition, there are going to be some or I should say I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So that's a couple pages. And then part 2 is the requirement where I just need to talk to everybody about infection control protocols, etc. Okay, so we've added some infection prevention and control resources here that we just need everybody to take a look at so that you know, general CDC fact sheet about COVID-19, listing of symptoms, talking a little bit about protecting the high-risk community, talking about why it's important to wear a face covering, how to properly wear a face covering, proper hand washing protocol. In the event we're not hand washing, we're using hand sanitizer, how to do that correctly. And then finally, a video from Johns Hopkins on why we practice social distancing. And again, each of these items are going to be a part of our visits. We do require face coverings. We are going to require good hand sanitation prior to the visit. And we are going to be requiring social distancing. Again, these are no-touch visits. And in addition, I skipped over this. We will be screening individuals when you arrive to the community prior to your visit. Okay. A couple of key notes. One is obviously we're going to screen you before your visit, but God forbid somebody leaves and in the next couple of days you start to get sick, you get unwell, you start to show symptoms of what could potentially be COVID. Worse, you're diagnosed with COVID. We need you to let us know right away that has happened. Obviously, it will be confidential, as we do with our residents and our staff, but we will need to make sure that we follow up appropriately with any individuals that you might have had any extended contact with while you were here at the community. As such, we are going to be limiting movements around the community. Visitors are going to be escorted to and from the visitation areas, and visitors will not be allowed outside of those areas. Okay. We will also, and this is the thing I hate to talk about, but I need to talk about it because, visits even so far haven't been perfect. If anyone, residents and or visitors, do not comply with those required infection control precautions, the social distancing, the no touch, the masks up, and hand sanitation, or not, reviewing, et cetera, completing any of the documents that need to be completed, et cetera, prior to your visit, you will not be permitted to visit here at the community. And again, we do not want to be having to have any of those conversations with people. We want this to be a joyous, positive experience, but we need everybody to work together and make sure that we can accomplish that. So again, we will not have any real tolerance for failure to comply with the precautions that we have in place related to COVID-19. Okay. And of course, lastly, in the event that we do have any cases, residents or staff, we would have to stop in-person visits for a period of time until we can clear those cases and get back to a 14-day without any. So obviously, we all know at this point we've been fluid. We are nothing if not flexible up to this point, and we hope that we don't get there. But of course, if any changes to the visitor policy occur, you will hear from me via email here on your screen during Angie's updates, or otherwise if it's something that needs to be communicated quickly outside of that normal communication protocol. But you will get that communication from me, and of course in my absence, David. So that is that. So tonight, along with the video, individuals that receive it by email are going to get a copy of this packet. All right. It is going to include part 1, general visits protocol. I just need everybody to review that. Anything that has a hyperlink that is in blue, if you hit control and click on it, it's going to take you to that document that it's referenced there in the policy, if you're interested. If not, that's okay too. Talks about what your responsibilities are as the visitors, as the residents. And it also talks about what Windsor is obligated to do during this process. Next up, again, we go into our infection control resources. Everything that's underlined there and in blue, you can control and click on, and you can take a look at those resources. Okay. And then finally, just a note at the bottom that we are requiring both the LCS acknowledgement release waiver of liability for residents and visitors. And if it's 2 visitors, it's 2 different documents, one for each of you, and the Windsor acknowledgement read receipt, which is just saying, yes, I've gotten this part 1 and part 2 document. I understand that it's my responsibility to comply with these things, etc. So prior to your visit, I need to have one of those liability forms and the acknowledgement documents in my hot little hands, I guess, for each visitor and each resident. Now, for those family members that sign documents for mom, dad, aunt, uncle as responsible party or power of attorney, I'm going to be looking at you to also execute those 2 documents on behalf of your loved one. Okay? So that might be a conversation you have within your family or your group of, specifically, I guess, your family, who is going to do what there. But we are going to have these in hand before visits can occur. So we're going to continue to work it, and there'll be lots of reminders coming out from me on that. Starting tomorrow at noon, that is going to be Wednesday at noon, I will have hard copies of these packets available for residents by request at the front desk. Okay, so that is that. So general visit acknowledgement form is going to look like this. Pretty easy. Name, signature, date. Just please put on here who you'll be visiting. And then secondly, it's going to be the assumption and acknowledgement, risk waiver, and release of claims. Okay, so to be these are the 2 forms I need to have in my hands before those of you that are scheduled next Tuesday for visits can have your visit. So that is that. These are going to go out tonight. I'm going to attach these to the email, and you can click on the hyperlink to get to them if you need to. And starting tomorrow at noon, they will be available at each concierge desk for residents by request. Okay. I think that's clear as mud maybe, but should be a little clearer when you read through the policy, etc. And I know it's very, very involved and it's long and cumbersome, but unfortunately, that is just the situation we're in. I had to take language from the executive order, which is about 11 pages, and shrink it down. But I know a lot of people have questions, so we went a little bit more into detail in certain areas. So that is that. That is the big news. Drive-through visits are going to keep going every Tuesday, Thursday morning, 1 weekend a month. And then we're going to be doing the in-person visits Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we are evaluating after options and weekend hours as well. But as always, if you are unable to visit during scheduled drive-through visit times, please let us know. We continue to accommodate special requests on an ongoing basis. I want to make sure that all of our residents have an opportunity, even if it's through a drive-up visit, to see and chat with family and friends in person. Okay, let's see what else I have here. Also, I sent out a link and a flyer last night for our Halloween car parade. Leave it up to CC to find the way for a parade. We want you to come in your best costumes or dress your car up, dress your dog up, I don't know, but do it and come and join us on Friday evening, October 30th, starting at 5 p.m. We would love to have some fun. Residents are encouraged to dress up as well, and all of our participants will receive a treat bag. So we know Halloween's going to look a whole lot different this year, so this is our way of trying to still have some fun. Okie doke. More good news. Chef Aaron and Shelby and the food and beverage team are going to be opening up the restaurants again for in-person breakfast service beginning on Thursday, October 8th. So that is next Thursday. They are working on finalizing the new breakfast menu, which I am sure everyone will be excited to see, including myself. So that is coming on Thursday, October 8th. The dinner menu, as we've discussed over the last few weeks, this first menu was just kind of our first go at it. We anticipated adding some additional items, and Chef Aaron promised me 5, and I got 7. I don't know what they are yet, but I'm sure they will be delicious. So plan on seeing 7 new dinner items added to the menu as of tomorrow evening. So take an extra good look to make sure you are able to check out what some of those new options are. I do need to break some bad news that we do have a bit of an issue with the fryer. We have a part on order to get that back into service. So I know you're going to be missing your crispy fries and your chicken and waffles over the next few days, but I think I've asked Erin 13 times in the last maybe 24 hours if she's heard anything about the fryer, so I am on it to her annoyance probably. But we are working through that issue. We'll get that up and running just as soon as possible. It's all been approved and ordered. All right. Last up, just a reminder about HVAC closets for our residents in the club and the villages who have those small closets that are filled with equipment that is HVAC equipment, and we have a lot of people storing things in there, and in some cases really stuffing them full. That is going to potentially cause problems with the efficiency and the function of the units, and it certainly causes issues with us getting to those units in the event there is an issue. So I really encourage and urge everyone to get those cleaned out. If you need assistance with that, please reach out to the concierge and put in a work order, and we can see what we can do to help. But we really do need to get those closets cleaned out. They were never meant for storage. It's really just the sliver on the side that people are putting things into. All right, what else? Oh, last things last. We still have many residents that are enjoying these warm fall afternoons, sitting outside in front of both the club concierge or the club entry as well as the village lobby. I do want to remind residents that as you sit out there under the porte-cochere, out kind of in the middle, that it is the emergency lane, and should there be any emergency vehicles coming through, you don't want residents to be in the way, oh my goodness, or at any risk of getting hurt. So please be mindful of that as you're sitting out there, not positioning chairs kind of out in the middle of things where we could potentially have an issue. So we never do know when they're going to show up, unfortunately. So everybody just be mindful of that as you're sitting out there, or as you see others coming out and sitting, just remind them of that. I think that is about it. Big thing is follow up with me, send me those 2 forms for each of you residents, as well as visitors who are scheduled, who are listening to this. I need both forms for each visitor and each resident who will be receiving a visit as well. Okay, I think that is about it. Let's continue to have positive thoughts and look forward to a week or 2 or a month or the rest of our lives without any COVID at Windsor, so that we can keep moving forward to a more back to a more normal life that we all miss, but are certainly treasuring and enjoying the opportunities that we are having getting back together these days. So I think that is about it. You will hear from me on Friday, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, ask, shoot me an email, and I'll help in any way I can. All right, everybody. Thank you.